this live. It will also be available on YouTube, and you will be able to share the link with your friends to look and hear the discussion in the near future. Let me first welcome all of you on behalf of Mumbai First and introduce you to the amazing panel that we have today in front of us. First of all, I would like to introduce you to Shri Hemant Parab, who's the Chief Fire Officer from Mumbai Fire Brigade. He's from the new generation of fire officers, having a very progressive outlook on fire safety management. He was awarded the Municipal Commissioner's Silver Medal for successfully carrying out rescue work at the Lucky Compound, Mumbai. He's also the recipient of the Commendatory Certificate for the rescue work carried out at the Lakshmi Shaya Building, Borivali. On the academic front, Shri Parab passed the Grade 1 Fire E course in 1992 and has also cleared the M1 Fire E UK course in 1994. He completed an advanced diploma in industrial fire safety in the year 2011 from MSBTE, thus continuing his endeavor to stay updated with fire safety management. When he took charge as Chief Fire Officer of Mumbai Fire Brigade, he mentioned that along with his team, stay committed to the safety of the citizen with great valor and determination. So welcome to you, Parabji. The next speaker we have on the panel is M.V. Deshmukh, who's the chairman of Fire Safe India Foundation. He started his career as a fire officer in the year 1979. He's a gold medalist of the National Fire Academy, and he has been awarded the Fellow of IFE UK. The government of Maharashtra honored him in 2002 by appointing him as fire advisor to the state government. In 2005, he assumed the charge of Director Maharashtra Fire Services, Government of Maharashtra. Post-retirement in 2016, he engaged himself in full-time in leading mission that is Fire Safe Maharashtra. Welcome, Deshmukh ji. Nice to have you back on the panel. We have a very eminent personality on our panel today. A famous man who has contributed a lot towards the city in the past, an amazing artist that I just came to know about, and that is none other than our Chandrasekhar ji Prabhu, who graduated in architecture from the Sir J.J. School of Architecture and was elected as the youngest MLA to the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly. He's a fellow at the Indian Institute of Architects and Indian Institute of Interior Designers. He's a visiting lecturer at educational institutions in India, UK, and USA, and teaches architectural design, urban design, and humanities. Welcome, Chandrasekhar ji. We are very, very happy to have you on the panel. And the last is a very amazing young gentleman, a man who is involved in journalism. I have known him for many years, and Ketan Vaidya, who's the senior journalist of Mirror Now, is an author, a former global issue advisor to the US Embassy, and of course, communication professional with more than 18 years of experience. He has also served as Metro editor with DNA newspaper. He has closely covered day-to-day Maharashtra politics as well as local and national elections. He has a sound pulse of Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore and the issues in the respective cities. And Ketan has always been a very, very positive journalist that I have come across. So with these few words, I've just introduced the panel. And just to set the theme, it is observed that from 14th to 20th of April, as a tribute to the 71 brave firefighters who sacrificed their lives in the line of duty, fighting the massive fire at Mumbai dockyard on 14th of April 1944. This week is celebrated throughout the state. And we thought of having this discussion, which was well needed. And also to give you some facts, regular fire services in India were established in about 215 years ago. I think the first fire service was established in Bombay in 1803. Correct me if I'm wrong, Parabji. Followed by Calcutta in 1822 and in Delhi 1867. And of course, Madras in 1908. Mumbai Fire Brigade has been considered the best fire brigade service in India. So I hope you're going to continue to do that, Parabji. Every year, the Mumbai Fire Brigade, handles 18,000 plus calls. However, in the last 5 years, ladies and gentlemen, Mumbai has witnessed more than 26,000 fire incidents, exposing the risk and vulnerabilities of the city infrastructure to fire hazards. So with these few words, we will now start our discussion, and may I request Milinji, would you like to start the ball rolling by saying a few words about the fire safety and the hazards?
Before Mr. Milind starts, let me give you a bit of a backgrounder so that this talk gets put into the correct perspective.
Sure, Mr. Prabhu. I hope Milind bhai, you don't mind.
Absolutely no problem.
Okay, please go ahead, Mr. Prabhu.
The firefighting canvas involves 3 or 4 major aspects. You cannot look at one aspect independent of the other. So first, let us understand the aspects of firefighting. The first aspect in firefighting, which no one can ignore, is the policy of urban development, which has nothing to do with the firefighting department or anybody per se. If the policy is such that while making the policy, the issues of firefighting are considered and then a policy is made, then the life of the firefighters get made easier. If the policy is such which does not consider firefighting, then the life of the firefighter is made difficult. So that is number 1. Number 2 is the development plan of that particular city. Based on the urban development policy, you have a development plan which gets revised every 20 years. And in each of the development plans, there is a blueprint as to how the city would be permitted to grow in the next 20 years. If in the development plan you consider the firefighting aspects and then draft the development plan or make provisions in the development plan, then the firefighting becomes easier. Otherwise, it becomes difficult. That is the second aspect of firefighting, which has again very little to do with the fire brigade per se. The third aspect is the development control regulation. Based on the fire development plan of any city, the city makes development control regulation. Here, of course, when making of the development control regulation is concerned, the fire brigade department is time and again consulted and their views are taken. And then the development control regulations get built in, wherein firefighting becomes a key aspect in the regulations. And so it becomes a part of the system. And 4, which is the most important thing, the implementation of the firefighting norms, where the fire brigade department is primarily concerned, wherein execution, training, taking people together, stopping fires, preventive measures, permissions, everything comes into the last category. So in these 4 categories, in one is entirely the firefighting department. In one, the firefighting department is consulted and their views are taken. And in the earlier 2, there is very there is not much that the firefighting department generally does, but it has to be thought by others who think about the well-being of the city and the state. And all these four aspects put together makes the firefighting and makes a city fire safe or otherwise. And if any one of these aspects is ignored or not paid attention to, then the other aspects become weak or don't become as strong as it is. Having said this, I would not like to immediately comment on how and where we are on each of the aspects, but I will come to that later. I thought this could be a good introduction to this fire safety, and then we move to specific subjects on fire issue.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Deshmukh,
Thank you.
you can continue.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar ji. Mr. Deshmukh, would you like to go next? Because we're going to have a 5 minutes each for all of us to speak, and then we can go into certain questions that we may have that we have developed to refer to specific issues. And of course, any other issues that you may come across, you can talk about.
See, thank you very much for an opportunity to be on this platform to express my views. And Chandrasekhar ji was very modest in saying the four facets to transform the fire services of Mumbai, which is the agenda for the day. And many times we internally, as a friend, we have interacted, and a lot of things that those are in my mind, those he has already highlighted. But to conceive this into two major facets related to the fire department and the transformation of the fire services of Mumbai, as Mumbai is you said the best fire department in the country, and to continue sustain it to be the best and to transform it into the better fire service, I will just transform these four facets which Mr. Prabhu said into two. That is the prevention of the fire and the protection of the fire. Because being a fire professional, I will not touch upon the major urban and other issues which Mr. Prabhu will again highlight. But as he said, my straight approach to this, that we as a policy makers, we as a development control rule makers, we are totally responsible for creating the faulty structures. What I mean is, we are permitting the buildings of 60 to 70 and above height buildings on just narrow streets of 4.5 meters to 6 meters, and we allow the marginal open space around the building 1.5 to 3 meters. So this is nowhere in the world. And we compare with the global standards or the international building code, they may not be keeping the setbacks as adequate as what our national building code prescribes, but their road widths and the general infrastructure, and the most important, which we always miss, is the safety culture. So being a developing nation, we have a huge challenge in transforming the safety culture among the citizens. So with this, if you see even today's Mumbai development control rules, I mean, they have a lot of lacunas, a lot of faults, I would say, that they are not adequate enough to create the safe building envelopes. So if there is no prevention, we are going to boil down to the protection. And for the protection, as per the national norms, Mumbai has a 50% deficiency in its fire brigade capacity. And that capacity even we enhance. Today, the kind of building that we are creating, you take the recent example, Mr. Neville, on which panel discussion we were together for that Tardev building, the narrow streets, even the SRA building, those are coming in Mumbai with the 8 tenements or 10 tenements on each floor. And those are such a tall buildings, they have limited lifts, peak hours to find the queues for the civilians to go up and down, and the staircases are single. We always compromise on the width of staircases. They are always disproportionate to the occupancy load of the building. So evacuation, which I give always the prime importance, then the property saving, the life saving is definitely of a paramount importance, but people cannot get evacuated because there are no adequate width of the staircases, adequate number of staircases, and the training and the drills, those are required to be carried out. Mumbai is the only city where alternative means of escape, we use the fire chutes. which is nowhere in the world, nor the National Building Code prescribes for. The National Building Code is such a guiding document made by many experts coming on the platform together. But the National Building Code Part 4 requirements prescribed there and the DC rules of Mumbai, and now the outfit or the outcome of the Mumbai DC rule with some minor modification, they have now rolled out the unified development control rules for the whole of the state. So that is, I think, the big setback for the prevention of fire and the protection of fire. Now the capacity building, now we are talking of drones, we are talking of the ladders, but see, these things are going to work as absolutely a secondary and tertiary kind of a aid. The very safe building envelope if we create, we make the proper evacuation arrangements, we have the proper alarm systems in place, we have proper effective sprinkler systems in place, then things can improve. Then the Mumbai is the only city for many years, the building those are required to provide the sprinkler like arrangements. There, I will show you thousands of buildings in Mumbai. Only the sprinklers are provided in the passages. When the national and the international code advocate that the providing partial sprinklers in a building is useless. I am not using the unparliamentary word. That is the word used in the national building code. So I think we have to strengthen, as Mr. Prabhu rightly said, that the DP plan. Now the DP plan, he mentioned the number of fire stations. If I have to pitch in the city, finding the land is a major problem, because in the very DP plan there is no land earmark for the development of new fire stations. Even if I get the funding, I don't find the land at the strategic locations where the fire station should be established. So with these things, I think there is a lot of scope to transform the Mumbai's fire department and the Mumbai's fire services. And with, if we focus to create the safe building envelope, safe living buildings, I think we can redress 70% of the problem, and 30% of the problem is of firefighting, which we are really good at and we can still improve upon. There is scope for improvement. So I think with these few straightforward comments, I would
Thank you.
like to give you back to Mr. Neville.
Thank you. Thank you, Deshmukh ji.
Here
It
I
was-
would like to add. Here I would like to add something over what our talk has been done.
Yes,
So I really
Parab ji,
yes, can I have a minute also?
you can now speak. Yes, sure.
Are you taking question or can I continue?
No, please continue. Parab ji, please continue.
As rightly Sir Deshmukh sir and Chandra Prabhu sir has said, we are completely we are following the development control promotion regulations are there 2034. All the regulations are being followed. Wherever the regulations are not there, where some inadequacies or lacuna is there, we do follow National Building Code. As sir said, sprinkler, yes, earlier it was there that you were finding sprinklers in the lobby, but now you will find in each and every house, so that building will be building is completely protected. We don't give anything in the lobby. Earlier it was that, we do agree that it was given earlier. Now we are not doing that. And for capacity building, we do have breathing apparatus gallery, for which generally we like wherever the smoke we see, we have to use breathing apparatus set. So we are working on that also. We have breathing apparatus gallery for that. We do refresher training into that for each and every officer and fireman undergo that training, and the training which required for higher promotional.
Sir, I think your frame is frozen.
And we are following that process to upgrade ourselves. And all it depends on. It is not that the number of appliances or the deficiencies definitely there. The population is also more, but then it depends on the population and the area also. But we have 35 fire stations, and for that purpose we have a lack of land, so we have proposed mini fire station also, and now we have 19 mini fire stations are there. So we are proposing in a such a way that we should reach to the incident at the earliest. We want to reduce the response time. So we are working on that. And now we have proposed the motorbike also for that, so that firemen can reach to the incident earlier. Now about the structure, infrastructure, yes, it has to be. It is a developing. So infrastructure has to be changed. It will take time, but we are proposing everything as per DCPR. And wherever it is not there, we are following NBC. So we are trying to follow all the rules and regulations. There may be earlier, there might be something which we see today, but today we are following each and every, all the regulations are being followed. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Parabji. You did clarify about a few new innovations that you have, and also you mentioned about training. So that's something good to hear. Ketan, would you like to say something?
Yeah, sure. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Can you make it a little louder because you're a little soft? So,
Yeah, yeah. So am I audible now? Better? Is this better?
uh, uh,
Is this
yeah, a
better?
little louder would be better.
Is this better?
Very good.
Okay. So, yeah, I've been listening to all the panelists before and even right now. And in my earlier field reporting days, I have covered so many fire, and I have, for the first hand, seen the valor of our forces and the way our firemen serve us. So, first of all, on today's day, we need to salute their bravery, valor, and their sacrifice, where they have saved so many lives. We always especially news, and I'm speaking in my personal capacity, we like to highlight the number of lives lost and the failures and this that, but the positive part is the number of lives that our firemen have collectively saved. So I think I would like to begin on that positive note. Here we are not for picking out faults, but I think I should make some frank statements that sometimes the fire brigade tries to do its best. However, as Prabhu sir also pointed out, that our larger city planning is many a times not aligned with fire safety or fire security, and that is what increases the time for the fire brigade to reach the spot. I mean, narrow lanes is a given now. The redevelopment 33/7, there are so many redevelopments happening in the city. So are these redevelopments, Deshmukh sir pointed out to the narrow lanes again, following international or even national standards of security and safety? So that is my layman understanding. So my the comment that limited comment that I would like to make is that our overall city planning is falling short of fire safety concerns. And to add to our woes, in a dynamic view, if you take, then the metro work that is going on and that is delayed by so many days, that is obstructing the entry of engines to a large uh, uh, to a large extent. And one more important point that I wish to make here is like, there was one interaction with the police commissioner, and he said that community policing is the policing of the future. Where the community plays the role, then our law and order is better established. We have 1 crore ears and eyes to report to us and tell us about what is going wrong. Now the fire brigade, I think, needs to take this very very seriously, that how can we involve Mumbaikars in fire training, in security training. So if the home guards aid the police in the policing effort, then can we have an equivalent of a home guard? They are not trained firemen, but they could be first responders of sorts. And can we onboard the citizens ward wise? Can we have a plan that okay, we have our limitations, we have our challenges, we have the issue that firemen, despite their valor and their immediate response, cannot reach to a fire spot. Then what can people do? And this involves societal training, this involves training of the offices. So training is one part, but third is of course in terms of first responders. Can we train some city responders and officially call them, or designate them as such, like we have home guards or like we have SRPF? So can we have something of that sort? Can we, in terms of futuristic thinking? So I think all in all, our fire brigade is doing an excellent job. However, from a futuristic point of view, we more needs to be done about citizen involvement and first response efforts.
Thank you, Ketan. I think when you were talking about these first responders, I remember when I was a kid, and when we had the war scenario with the neighboring country, we had these fire wardens, around, in every ward, we had these fire wardens who used to immediately come onto the roads when the siren would be out, and not only, look at things, but they would also look at if there was a light on or not. So maybe this is a good suggestion that you're coming out with, is community being involved. And especially now, just to give you a little feedback, Mumbai first had initiated the first war room at the chief minister's office that was set up by Mumbai First in collaboration with McKinsey and Mahindra and group. And we ran it for a year. And after all that, we gave it up to the government to run. But what has come out is these war rooms that have come out now because of COVID. They have realized that these war rooms in every ward has been of great help to the BMC, and they have been able to work better. They have been able to coordinate things better. Maybe this is something that could come out of the suggestion that you gave, Ketan, and already the fact that there is these war rooms. So maybe when you say you don't have land, but maybe the fire brigade can utilize these war rooms and create some type of a mechanism there by which the first responders can get there quicker than the fire brigade if possible, and try and provide some help. So that's something that good that has come out. Prabhuji, you
Yes,
were
here I would like I would like to give my opinion. So we have started what Vaidya sir has just speaking about. We have started fire volunteer Agni Rakshak program. We have started with one NGO is there, Project Mumbai. So the Mumbaikars get enrolled themselves on the Agni Rakshak. We have one portal over there. They get registered, and we are calling them as per their convenience to our fire station. We give 1 day training to them. So today we have a force of about 1,500 Agni Rakshak, and before COVID period we have trained about 5,500 Mumbaikar. Those who are staying in Mumbai, those are interested in getting the training from us. So they invite them at the station, and then we give half-day training to them so that they also can do something towards prevention. So how they can prevent the fire, and if at all fire occurs, how it can be extinguished with the help of extinguisher. That kind of training we do give, training we give to the Mumbaikars, so that in case if anything goes wrong over there, and if they are present over there, they'll be able to extinguish with the help of extinguisher. That movement we have already started, but we want more Mumbaikar to join it. And with Mumbai First, we can we can go to Mumbaikar and ask them to join to this force, and we can have more numbers of volunteers.
Parabji, I would definitely offer the help of Mumbai First, and trying to promote this not only to individuals but even to various corporates. To designate few of their volunteers or employees, to be a part of this training, so that they could be of help in their own way, areas of work, and even they can carry that knowledge to their individual residences and provide that. So we'd be too happy to help, and we can discuss this offline later, how we can both work together. Chandrasekhar ji, any further comments before I come down to some questions?
Yes. Lot of comments based on what
please go ahead.
different people have said. For instance, I'll give you a short example. There used to be a time when the BST used to tell me, incidentally, I was heading the MMRDA panel. I was also the head of MHADA, Maharashtra Housing and Area Development Authority, for the entire state of Maharashtra. So in both these capacities, as the chief in MMRDA and also in the chief in MHADA, I have had an interaction with various people. So the BST general manager always used to come and tell me that, look, the development plan is faulty. It's not correct. And why is it not correct? I need so many substations, but substations are not provided for in the development plan. So please provide the substations in the development plan. I said, no, I will not provide substations in the development plan. So he said, then how will I get my development plan? I said, I'll make a very simple change in my development plan. Any property which is being developed, any property, whether it is slum, whether it is old and dilapidated building, whether it is greenfield project, whether it is mill, any property which is being developed in an area which has a deficit of generator of the electric substations shall provide within their property an electricity substation. The provision for that will incentivize them, give them extra FSI, so they don't have to spend any money for that, and the city will get the substation. The problem of the substation after that was solved. Before that, only designated substations as per development plan had to be done. Now substations can come on any plan. Similar, any property, if the property goes for redevelopment. Similarly, when the development plan of Mumbai was done, I had given a detailed report as to how the fire brigade services should be taken as a part of the services for any kind of development. For instance, now the biggest slum redevelopment scheme came up in Tardev. Now in Tardev, 4,000 people were to be accommodated, and the rehab and free sale put together in the slum area, we are talking of 20 lakh square feet being built. Now, if the development plan would have made a provision, a fire station within that property, not as a matter of law, but would have guided by those who were developing the property and handed over to the fire brigade station, and the city would have got an additional facility over and above that which is planned, and the person concerned, the developer or whoever is interested in the development, would have got additional FSI and it could have been done. Now that is under consideration. I am pursuing it with the Urban Development Department. I had a couple of meetings at the level of the Chief Minister, and very soon, once that is incorporated as a part of the policy, the Fire Brigade Department will get additional help of extra stations, small or big, in large projects undertaken by private entity. But no one is forcing them. They are saying, like we are providing electric substation, we are also providing some place for the fire brigade. If that is given as an incentive, he is not doing it because he wants to benefit the fire brigade. He is doing that because by making that provision, he is getting incentive in his building. And so the fire brigade also gets an additional station. So all the problem of land acquisition and others could be solved. So like this, the policy of urban development and the policy of the development plan can help in augmenting the services given by the fire brigade, and that can help the fire fighting system in a very big way. So what is required is a holistic view of the entire thing, and we have the best fire fighting system in the country. We could even be the best in Asia, provided it is backed up by good policies and good development plan. So certain changes in the development plan, certain changes in the policy, certain positive measures need to be taken. But that is not within the purview of the fire brigade department. That is at the level of the urban development department. We are pursuing these measures so that it becomes easier for Mumbai to fight its fires.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar. I think it's a very good idea that you've come out with, saying, incentivize and see that there are small fire stations at the premises itself. That would solve Mr. Parab's problem about land acquisition, and he would be able to get at least some, as we call, substations, where he could provide immediate help wherever it's required. Having said this, friends, let's take a few questions that we've come. So Hemanji, first question for you is, according to the latest report released by the Mumbai Fire Brigade, on only 23 buildings are compliant with fire safety norms, out of the 223 buildings that were inspected between November 23rd to January 8, 2022. Neither the Mumbai Fire Brigade nor the residents of the building take fire audits seriously. What, according to you, is the cause of irregularities in the regular fire safety audits? Parabji, you're on mute. Parabji, you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself? No, please unmute yourself.
Yeah,
Yes.
I couldn't get you. Can you please repeat it?
Yeah, I'll repeat the question again. According to the latest
I think some
report
communication, some disturbance.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
According to the latest report released by the Mumbai Fire Brigade, only 23 buildings are compliant with fire safety norms out of the 223 buildings that were inspected between November 23rd to January 8th, 2022. Neither the Mumbai Fire Brigade nor the residents of the building take fire audits seriously. What, according to you, is the cause of irregularities in the regular fire safety audits? I mean, why can't we have regular fire safety audits?
Yeah, we do have regular fire safety audits. The information which has given some, it is, I think, complete information he may not be having. We have a taken drive during this November after fire at Sachinam building. So after that, we have inspected, and it is a continuous process. When we find some lacuna or deficiency, we issue notice. We issue notice to the secretary, chairman, whoever occupant is there. We issue them a notice and we give certain period. So as per Act, 120 days are being given to us. So accordingly, we give them, when they put up to us that they need some more time, we give some time additional up to 120 to those who want to willingly, those who want to comply with. And after completion of that, we do take action on them. Now the 23 building, what he is saying, it is a continuous process. Those buildings which are not complying with, we are taking action on them. But the building which we have issued the notice, and those who come up for some kind of information that they are doing it, they are submitting the form B, there we do not take action up to 120 days. But after 120 days, we do take action, and it is a continuous process. We do inspections, and then we issue notices wherever we find lacuna as per Fire Act. It is a continuous process.
So Parabji, can you just throw some more light into how do you have, how does this process work? I mean, when you have these fire audits, do you have data which you have in a computer, or I mean, do you have a system in place by which, if suppose a building does not have fire audit for last few years, are you in a position to check and write to that building saying that you haven't yet sent your report or something of that sort?
Right. Till today, we do not have that kind of, we used to do it manually. Officer goes to that particular building. He was to inspect the building. He was to issue the notice. He used to follow the things till 120 and then that. But today, on this 14, we have a software, building inspection software, where we have prepared a software where by on mobile, a click of a mobile, the officer who will be going for inspection, every data will be registered on it, and each building inspected will be there on a record. So we will have a continuous record. Today we have inspected more than 5,000 or more than that building, but I do have to find out the data manually. But today we have prepared a software whereby we will get the inspection continuous wherever the building which has not submitted form B will be pointed out, and email will be given. We will go to that particular building to give the form B. So that process will be there, that we have introduced that inspection software system, and we have inaugurated through our additional municipal commissioner on these 14. So you will find all these result in the coming course of time. You will find all this information available on the portal.
Excellent news, Parabji, and I must congratulate you to have taken this step. I think it's a step in the right direction. Deshmukhji, a question for you. The National Building Code 2016 lays down fire safety as an important aspect, requiring special attention while designing and constructing high-rise buildings. For instance, provision for access roads to buildings require the width of roads to be between 6 and 9 meters. However, often structures in the city often fail to adhere to these guidelines. What, according to you, is the reason behind this disparity in adhering to these guidelines?
See, the very reason is the National Building Code is a more of a recommendatory kind of a document, and the development control rules which are framed under the MRTP Act, they have a statutory tooth. And generally, while making the DC rules, DC regulation, which I mentioned in my opening remarks, that there is a lot of disparity, disproportionate between the guidelines or the recommendations prescribed in the National Building Code vis-a-vis the provisions made in the development control rules. So that is the the deficiency or the lacuna. The experts' views are not taken into much consideration. It is not only for the Mumbai I am talking, but the entire state also. The second thing is the audit. Already Mr. Hemant has answered that question, but statutorily in the Fire Act, which emphasizes about 50 sections, there is no word called as a fire audit. And during 2013-14, the amendment was moved from my office, the then office, and that is amendment is pending, where the audit has to be made statutory. Now, what is there in the act is called as the Form A and the Form B. So you ask Mr. Nabil about the process. The process is when the new building construction is done and the fire systems are done as per the prescriptions provided in the fire NOC, which is being issued by the fire brigade department. The compliance of that is to be done by the some fire contractor, whether that be the passive fire protection or the active fire protection. So compliance of that has to be certified by such contractor in the form of Form A. And since the fire department has a very inadequate number of officers to carry out, they are qualified to carry out such kind of inspections. The officers require a certain basic qualification. So those number of officers are quite disproportionate to the city's population and the number of buildings. And therefore, as a third party, we said that anyway, if the sprinkler is leaking, the fire officer is not going to fix it. So we decided that the society or the owner or the occupier, as the case BB of such buildings, have to submit a Form B, which is a 6-monthly compliance of the fitness of the systems provided in that building. So those forms are to be submitted. Now it's a good news that he has shared that those forms can be submitted on the portal online. Officer's inspection report is one separate part. The intact power is there. The power is kept intact of the fire officers under Section 5 of the Act, where they can randomly go anytime and carry out the inspection. Section 6 provides for the giving the notice to the occupant or the owner, and Section 7 gives the provision for the compliance and the procedure thereof. The agony of the issue or the unfortunate part of the game is this legislation was moved during my time, and this was got enacted by the legislature, and it was brought into force in 2008. But 2008 till now, till 2022, there is no single prosecution which is converted into a conviction. Prosecutions could be there, but there is no conviction, and the people are not put behind a bar. I am not saying any law is made for putting people behind a bar. But out of, say, in 12 years, if we could make the conviction successful by following the entire process of law and the judiciary the way in our country functions, which is the most respectable institution of the nation. So suppose if there are 5 or 6 successful convictions, that will create a great deterrent in the society, in the commercial, industrial, or the residential, or the various types of occupancies. If that is done, not only in Mumbai, but in the entire state as such, then I think there will be a deterrent of law. So these are the two things. One was the comment and one was the answer to the question which was posed before me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chandrasekharji, would you like to say anything on this?
Yes, you see, things are very simplistically can be put. You know, the development control regulations have certain issues which require to be addressed as well. You see, the implementation, once the default is found, the implementation is left to other agencies, and there is no control of anybody monitoring the other agency. So what needs to be done in the penalization is immediate penalty, which is first to be deposited if in case of default, and then the prosecution. He's quite right that in the past several years we have yet to find anybody who has finally been prosecuted or the law has taken its legal course. So systemic changes need to be made to ensure that the intent of law, if it is not implemented effectively, the intent would be completely lost. Having said this, while enforcement is important, it should not result in harassment. So these are two things which are completely separate. It should be a friendly law, but if you don't follow the law, then you jolly well have to pay for it. So both things, that is the carrot and the stick, both should be used together so that the city becomes a safe place to live.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's
Here,
really
here
good.
I would like to add what Deshmukh
Yes,
sir
Parag,
said.
please.
Yeah, I would
Please
like to
go ahead.
add something over it. Yes, Form B were to be submitted by the owner occupier of the building every 6 monthly January and July. So we have started the procedure. Whatever Form B we received, 10% of that form will be checked and verified by the officer, so that those who are submitting, there will be action on, definitely action will be taken wherever we find that the form B has been submitted without checking or without seeing the installation or whatever has been placed over there is not found to be correct. And if the officer visit the premises and he finds that the system is not in order, 100% action will be taken by blacklisting, so that others will get lesson out of it.
Correct.
That we have started, sir.
Excellent, Parabji. I mean, beautiful.
I think it's a beautiful thing that you put up in place.
I think it's a beautiful thing that you put up.
So congratulations to you again for taking this step. I think Ketan is a little too quiet, so let's address one question that has come for him. Sorry, media plays a vital role in influencing behavior and educating people. We are aware of successful movements undertaken by media houses like Equal Streets for road safety measures. Can we think of a similar movement to address the risks, vulnerabilities, and measures to strengthen fire safety mechanism in Mumbai? What do you have to say about that, Ketan?
Yeah, again, I'm speaking in my personal capacity. I think increasingly what we have done is we have reacted to fire hazards. While describing Sir's profile, Parab Sir's profile, you mentioned Lakshmi Chaya. And Lakshmi Chaya, I remember covering it from ground zero. I believe it's the same Borivali building where a gentleman, the ground floor person, did some structural changes and the whole building came collapsing like a pack of cards, and there were more than 50 people who died in the process. So I think we only wake up after such big casualties, and then our approach to the whole thing is very reactive. I think what will help is a sort of a sustained campaign of fire safety and security. And so when we do it in a reactive fashion, and I'll be very blunt in this, then there will be 2 to 3 days of criticizing the fire brigade or criticizing the BMC and then moving away from the issue. So instead of that, I think things like we mentioned that community fire helpers or first responders. So such things need to be on our awareness radar. And I would just add, if you allow me, I would like to add one more point. We were talking about the fire brigade structure, permissions, regular audits. I think the fire brigade personnel are too overwhelmed by so many job descriptions. Even no HR in the world allows. I mean, of course, I've seen Parab sir and his predecessors. There was I don't remember the fire chief or fire officer's name, but they have themselves covered fire disasters and ensured that our cities are fire safe. However, the below rung officers or the mid range officers, they have to do enforcement, they have to do paperwork, and then they have to do fire safety. So I think we have got more personnel in the fire department, but what needs to be done is we need to have three big umbrella this thing. One is departments, one is of course the training, second is enforcement, and third is firefighting. So training, by training I don't mean the training the fire staff, but training the common people, training the Mumbaikars, bringing them on board. So there should be a department that will do this. Second is of course enforcement, and enforcement shouldn't be the job of those who are involved with firefighting. There could be another department within the larger behemoth, that is the fire department, and that way we can structure, uh, restructure and ensure better results.
Thank you, Ketan. Good points coming out that Parabji should be assisted with more people doing specialized things rather than one person trying to do too many things and not being able to do anything perfectly or doing it well. And I think this is a good message that you came out with. One more question to Parabji. This is something which even personally, even I would like to know is Mumbai has nearly 200 skyscrapers. The city is known to have the 7th highest number of high rises in the world, as well as the highest number of high rises under construction. So not only do we have high rises already, but we are now getting, and I'm reading advertisements where they're saying 60 floors, 70 floors buildings coming up. What is the key fire safety equipment deployed in the fire stations for ensuring the safety of these high rises? I mean, suppose you catch fire is on the 65th floor. How do you manage to reach that high? Do you have that equipment? Do you have that thing in that? I mean, does your fire stations everywhere equipped with all this?
Yeah, right now, today we have a ladder with a 90-meter height, which can go up to 30th floor. And then we have 90-meter single, 81-meter such appliances are there, 20 such appliances are there having different height. About high-rise building, it is not possible for any ladder to reach to that 60th floor. It is beyond our capacity also, and we cannot have anything because it's an island city. We have wind velocity, various other factors are there, but nobody in the world manufactures which can go to that height. But then in that building, we provide the firefighting. That is what sir was also saying. So that is for that purpose, we are providing equipments in the building itself, which gives the alarm to the occupant that something has gone wrong. So they should be aware of that. And apart from that, we provide the sprinkler system to that also. Wherever fire originates, it should be suppressed. It should get actuated. It should be extinguished at there itself. So such equipments are placed in the building. Only thing is that the owner occupier, those who stay in the building, residents of the building, has to maintain those equipments in order. So that is what our appeal to the people citizens of Mumbai to maintain the equipment which are placed in the building, which are already installed in the building, are to be maintained through the license agency. Those who are staying in the skyscraper, yes, they will have to take more care into that. So for that purpose, they have to ensure that this system is in working order, and they have to ensure it through license agency. That's why license agencies are appointed by Government of Maharashtra. Maharashtra Fire Services Director Office has appointed these license agencies. And through these license agencies, these societies can maintain this equipment in a working order, so that whenever required fire brigade has to attend to these buildings, they can use this equipment. Even the occupant of the building, if he is trained, if he is aware of the equipment, he can use that equipment and extinguish the fire wherever it is originated. And that is what is expected. And even if the fireman reaches over there, and if the system is in order 100%, he can use that equipment and extinguish the fire at the earlier. So these are what are required from the residents of the building also.
Mr.
Excellent,
Mehta,
Parabji.
may
Thank
I,
you.
Mr. Mehta, may I add to what the
Sure.
fire officer has to say?
Sure.
You see,
Sure, Chandrasekhar.
he has very correctly pointed out, and I know for sure as an expert in the subject, that the tallest snorkel ladder can go at the most up to 90 meters. That is 30 floors at the most. So anybody above the 30 floors, from that 30 floor ladder, there could be a pipe by which you can throw the water for a few more floors. But if you are on the 70th floor or the 65th floor, then your fire fighting responsibility comes on you. So when a person buys a flat anywhere above the 30th floor or 40th floor, he should first be made aware of the fact that, assuming they have one snorkel lift or two, they can have 3 or they can have 5. But what if in 10 places there is fire coming up in one day at one time? The fire brigade with the 90-meter ladder, 1 or 2 90-meter ladder, can't cater to 5 fires or 6 fires. So it is basically the duty of the building, and it is basically the duty of the resident of the building who claims pride in saying, I am on the 40th floor, I am on the 50th floor. So he should also know that he is responsible for his own safety. The fire brigade can do whatever it has to do, it will do. But if in one day and one given point in time, at 5 different places, at 40 stories and above, at 100 meters and above, if there is a fire, the fire brigade cannot reach all the places because there are not so many snorkel ladders with them to reach all the places. And even the snorkel ladders can go up to 30 floors. And from there, they can do their best by throwing the water above with pressure and other things. But there are limitations to the equipment that they have. And you cannot expect them, the city to spend crores and crores on just giving them the equipment. So what is important is the person who lives on these swanky high floors should know the kind of risk that he is taking when he is buying the flat, should know the kind of risk that happens if he doesn't have the proper wiring and doesn't service it, should know that if he doesn't maintain his fire service equipment, what is the risk that he is putting himself and the family to. And the second most important thing is, all over the world, if there is a fire at any place, there is an evacuation strategy, which unfortunately, despite the fire brigade time and again telling the people to have, how do you evacuate a person? You don't have to wait all the way for the fire brigade to come. There should be an evacuation strategy. One strategy is an additional staircase only for fire escape staircase, which is one way of evacuation, but that may not be enough. So in Israel and in other places, there are multiple evacuation strategies. by which if a flat catches fire from within the flat, there is some system by which it takes the family out of the flat onto the floor, the refuse floor, or onto some floor where they are relatively more safe within a matter of seconds. So that strategy for evacuation, what needs to be done, what the buyer of a flat, if he's buying the flat for 8 crores or 10 crores, he can always spend another 5 to 10 lakhs of rupees on buying an evacuation equipment by which his family can be evacuated in the shortest possible time, even before the fire brigade arrives. So life is not lost, and then the fire brigade will do whatever damage to the property that control the fire brigade should be done. So the citizens should themselves be empowered to understand the risk that they are putting in if they buy flats at a level at which the snorkel ladder cannot reach, and then they can take things in their hands and protect themselves.
Good point. I think this clarification, Chandrasekhar ji and Parab ji, you have mentioned about individual residents' responsibility to see that the equipment within the premises and the buildings are in efficient condition to be used in case of such a fire breaking out is something that I think is very, very important. And I think Ketan can play a role about, spreading this through his journalism and informing people, because I don't know, many people I'm sure are not really aware that it's up to them and the building management to see that, they are responsible for this hazard. Thank you. I mean, this is something that Ketan, we in Mumbai First can do something together. Do let us know. We'd be too happy to do that. One question for you.
One small suggestion, if I may.
Sure,
is
sure,
that,
Ketan.
so this building WhatsApp groups come out with all sorts of notices and all sorts of sometimes inane stuff. We need to percolate this and use social media and media to our advantage through the secretaries of different cooperative societies, and raise awareness among them the need of training, the need of responding when your building is like Prabhu sir said, beyond 40 stories. So I think reaching out to the last man in the ring, as they say. So similarly, reaching out to the building societies and the powers that be in those societies is crucial. And I think social media is a good tool to ensure that
Great.
happens.
Great.
Yes, here I would like to add, with the help of Prabhu sir, we are reaching to the societies and we are making societies to understand the importance of this training, and we want members from the society to come and they take the training. We are working with Prabhu sir on that.
Very good. As I said again, I'm offering the help of Mumbai First. Wherever you need us, we'd be too happy to partner with you. And I'm sure all the participants who are listening to us, I'm sure they too would be able to take this and try and empower themselves so that they can be help to themselves and to their families. There's one more question that has come up for Mr. Deshmukh, and of course, Prabhuji and anybody else can also opine on it, is that old buildings in Mumbai are not subjected to the regulations under the Maharashtra Fire Prevention Act. As a result of this, they aren't equipped with adequate infrastructure in terms of fire safety, making it difficult for the rescue agencies. So what, according to you, are the shortcomings of the Maharashtra Fire Prevention and Life Safety Measure Act 2006?
See, let me, Mr. Deshmukh will reply to it from the official point of view. I've been reaching out to people. See, 16,800 buildings are chawls. So they are built of wood and they do not have the wherewithal. Half of them, more than 80% of the people living in chawl have common toilet. They have a tap in their home, but all the time there is no water. There is no 24-hour water connection. There is no overhead tank. There is no underground tank. So as far as these buildings are concerned, they cannot build any fire safety equipment. All they can do is they can buy the fire extinguishers and in case of fire ensure that the extinguishers are first away done, because they do not have a 24-hour water supply, because they do not have a system of underground and overhead tanks. At a time when the fire is there, if the water supply for that area is not on, there is a bit of a problem. Of course, the water department may start in such areas extra water if they come to know that there is a fire, but for them there is an issue. So they constitute around 17 to 18 lakh people living in the island city of Bombay. 70 lakh people live in slum. So 70 lakh plus 18 lakhs, so 88 to 90 lakhs, that is about 80% of the city's population does not get covered more or less with all these measures of firefighting. They have to make their measures on their own. It is only those of us who are lucky enough to live in buildings, proper apartments, is where we can have the luxury of protecting ourselves with fire fighting equipment. For the rest, for instance, MADA colonies, there are 100 colonies built by MADA for 30 years ago or 40 years ago, wherein there is no elevator, there is no lift, even the water supply is limited. They have, all of these people have a different problem. So around 85% of the city's population doesn't get covered by all these measures that we are talking about. And till the time that they get enough measures which would cover them, we have to work with them and educate them to protect themselves till the time the fire brigade comes. They are entirely at the mercy of the fire brigade. For instance, if a chawl gets fire, then it is the fire brigade alone, because they may not have enough water in their tank because there is no overhead tank. Each one will have his own little drum from which he can throw the water, but there is limitations to that. So for such people, fire brigade is the only God, like God for them. And the fire brigade has been doing excellent job in whenever required in such buildings. Fortunately, they are not tall. They are ground plus 2, ground plus 3, or at the most ground plus 4. So fire brigade people can reach there, the ladders can reach there, the pumps can reach there, the pipes can reach there. Only the fire brigade has to get an access. In some wards, like in B ward, wherein the roads are narrow and there are encroachments on the road and both sides the cars are parked, there it becomes sometimes difficult for the fire brigade to go. But the Mumbai Fire Brigade has been doing excellent work in such cases, because such cases are dependent entirely on the mercy of the efficiency of the Mumbai Fire Brigade.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar ji. Deshmukh ji, your views on this?
Now, my views are very clear. See, if we go by the statistical data available with the 4 metros of the nation, we are always focusing on the high-rise buildings and the challenges and those things. But the low-rise buildings or the low-rise high-density buildings, their number of fires and the number of casualties are more, unfortunately, and they remain out of the focus. Number 2, what Prabhu was mentioning about was that the old buildings versus new buildings. So old buildings, there are limitations. Maybe people by way of education, by say they spend little money on having at least an extinguisher in the house, those could be the remedial measures. But the new buildings, by demolishing the dilapidated building, those are, say, the economic housing that is the provided for the citizens. There we cannot do the disparity of having the fire and life safety measures for the SRA or such kind of redevelopment buildings vis-a-vis the normal buildings. The life of the human being everywhere is same. So that disparity, discrimination is against the humanity. Third thing is, by previous question, hardly I got an opportunity to talk because of the the eloquent speakers on the panel. So the question was that the buildings, Mr. Neville, was 60 meters and 70-meter height, and the challenges for evacuation and rescue. As Mr. Heman Parab, my colleague, he answered the maintenance of the equipment and the provision of the equipment like sprinklers, detections, passive fire protection, and other things. There is a very nice provision in the National Building Code that there should be a fire tower like structure, and which is in the global standard also, that one staircase, at least one staircase, should be in an enclosed shaft with minimum 2 hours fire resistance, and that shaft will have the 2 hours fire rating doors also. And if it is within the core of the building, it will be pressurized. It is on the external facade of the building, it need not to be pressurized. So pressurized, I mean the positive pressure in that shaft will be more than the atmospheric pressure, so that a product of the combustion like smoke, etc., do not enter into that shaft, so people can easily get out of the building. And the lift is more important because practically also we see as a layman or the common citizens, people living on say even above 24-meter high building, if there are physically challenged cases, pregnant ladies or the senior citizens, it is very difficult for them to get through the staircases, get out through the staircases. So in this shaft, if the lifts are provided for evacuation purpose, the general cycle is that when there's a fire, you switch off the power supply and the lift should not be used. But can one imagine that the people from the 40th floor or 60th floor can really get through the staircases? It is just impossible. So for that purpose, that provision in the National Building Code, if it is copied and implemented as it is, there will be a big relief, because as Hemant said that globally also, see New York, the Manhattan is known for the tallest building, but they have a restriction on the ladder of only 45 meters. The Mumbai has 90 meters, but they 45 to 60 meters beyond, they don't go for the ladder, because one ladder to evacuate 4 or 3 people, it takes a cycle of about 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And in the adverse situation, it is more. Then in generally what we discuss is 90-meter has an outreach of 30 meters, that I slightly differ there, because the kind of podiums those are coming around a building and there are no marginal open spaces, it is very difficult to take the ladder on the top of the podium and then to operate it is practically not possible. In that case, if I pitch the ladder where the place is available and I try to reach out, even 90 divided by 3 meter a slab height, 30 meter, that theoretically may be correct, but we do not reach, which I have seen personally, that we do not reach even 12 to 15 meters. And as Mr. Prabhu said, if there are 2 or 4 or 6 ladders in the city, can this ladder really reach to the spot in the minimum possible time to carry out the evacuation and the firefighting operations? So the best remedy for that, the old buildings, we have to have certain different measures, possible measures, which under section 5 the officers can inspect and give the recommendations, whatever possible they can get it done. And for the new buildings, there should not be discriminatory between the elite class of buildings vis-a-vis the economic housing building, as far as at least the fire and life safety is concerned. So this is what I would like to conclude here.
Thank you, Deshmukh. Thank you, Prabhuji. I think you came out with very good suggestions and facts, and I agree with you that the low-income housing also should have the necessary effective and efficient fire safety equipment deployed in those buildings. Ketan, what comes out from all this somehow, it's talking about advocacy, it's talking about knowledge, it's talking about citizenship, so question to you, what steps can journalists and media houses take while reporting fire incidents to educate people and teach them what to do and what to not do? Because what we see is, as you rightly said, that it's reactive. When a fire takes place, the media gets people who want to point fingers at the fire brigade or the police or the establishment, as we would say, not realizing that there are 4 fingers that are facing them, because this would have not occurred if they had proper equipment and service proper equipment and met with all the guidelines of the fire brigade and the fire safety rules. Having said that, what do you think that journalists and media houses can do to percolate this message, this discussion that we are having today? How would you think that media houses should rise to the occasion to tell people that, this is something very important. Prevention is better than cure. So don't wait till a fire takes place and then start getting into your thinking caps, when it's very clearly mentioned in more places than one what you should do and how you should do it.
Well, I think there is no one size fits all approach to this. I think I'll divide it in parts. So one is, of course, we are the BMC controls the fire department, and BMC is plush with funds. So are we short of funds? I don't think we are short of funds. Are we short of ideas? Now, after hearing to this eminent panelist, I don't think even we are short of ideas. I think we are short of on ground implementation. That is first thing. Second thing, I feel that are my colleagues, including myself, I will be very candid, uh, aware about the kind of fire safety norms that exist, or are we aware about the solutions that exist? Can we think laterally as journalists, whatever level of seniority we are? Can we think laterally that if there was a 65-story building and if there was a fire on the 63rd floor, and if there was nothing much that could be done, then why did this happen? So I think first of all, media outlets also in the extended outreach plan, which of course Mumbai First can also sponsor or be a vehicle to carry out that. There should be certain media training plan with Deshmukh sir and with eminent former CFOs and things like that about looking at fire and looking at fire from the prism of the city. Fire is not an independent action. It's not a force that is performing its duty or waking up to the cause of to the call of action whenever there is a fire. It is, I think, it should be looked at a prism of from the prism of urban planning. It needs to be looked holistically in terms of looking at the city, its unplanned growth, its narrow streets, its unaware citizenry, and then the whole fire needs. Otherwise, we will have more and more incidents. The number of incidents that you mentioned in the invitation, I think some were in thousands in last 5 years, and increasingly these have been happening in ground plus three structures as well as in multi-story structures. So there is something essentially wrong in the awareness. There is something essentially wrong in the implementation. Okay, so to pinpoint blame at BMC or fire brigade is a low hanging fruit. It can be reactive journalism, but in the longer range, this thing, if 3 points is look fire safety from the prism of urban planning, that is one. Second is involve the citizenry and train them, and third is, of course, look at awareness, dynamic awareness plans through media and social media when there is no fire.
Very good. Yes, Deshmukhji, you want to contribute too?
Yeah, I have 2 points to mention here. One is the Fire Safe India Foundation, to which I represent today, and we are doing a lot of work. Even last Sunday, we had awareness program for the citizens and the those living in the apartments, and we had excellent response from the major metropolis of India, including the Bangalore and such cities. So we shall be glad to be associated with Mumbai First. Ketan, you can help us to bring the program that which we conduct in the mainstream media, social media. Yes, we are doing, but media support is a big support. Prabhu Saab has a good reach to the citizens of Mumbai. Hemant is sitting on a very good position in the seat, and he is a man very humble and with high humility. So such we all can come together, and Fire Safe India Foundation will be committed to. Second thing, we have launched one app called as the Prevent Fire. So this Prevent Fire app is available on iOS and Android. So it is still in a beta kind of a state, but I would request if you can make people to download it and give us a information that such and such building has this deficiency. Sometimes people have a hesitation to go to the government agencies, but we have got a good reach and understanding of the fire laws and the regulations, and we can even pursue, remind the regulators not only for Mumbai but the pan India, and see. So that app that we have already launched, and that we are trying to make it mature, about 6 people 24/7 sitting behind to do the back office job, to download such data, create tablets, and to write to the different authorities and take the follow up on that. And the
Thank you.
last
Thank you.
last comment that I wanted to make, that today is, as Ketan rightly said, today is to really appreciate the valor and the gallant work that the firefighters are doing. We lost our 71 colleagues when we were yet to, I mean, take birth in this life. So many people, 66 gallant fighters, the Mumbai docks, and subsequently many firefighters in the Mumbai, not only Mumbai but pan India. So this is the time for the tribute. We don't celebrate this week. We just observe this week, because for us this is a mourning week. We pray for those souls. So I think we all should express our sincere tribute to the gallant firefighters, those who have laid their life on the line of duty. At the same time, we should put our appreciation on record to Mr. Hemant and his entire team, dedicating their life for the city's citizens, like uh, our Jawans doing on the borders. These are the civilians, those are doing in the civic society. And
Yes,
with
we'll
this,
do
I
that,
think I
Deshmukh.
feel I am done from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deshmukh. Thank you. Last question before we end and we summarize, that goes to Parabji. Parabji, you've heard everything, and everybody is speaking so highly of the fire brigade, and that you are people who are not ordinary people. I would say you all are all extraordinary people, for to give and put your life at stake for the life and happiness of others. Is not an ordinary human being. He's an extraordinary human being. Having said that, Parabji, uh, what is it what are the challenges faced by the Mumbai Fire Brigade as the city is going through rapid infrastructure? You're seeing metros and you're seeing tunnels coming up and you're seeing these high-rise buildings. So this infrastructure transformation which is taking place with the coming of the coastal road and metro construction, what are the challenges that you are facing? I mean, can we citizenship help you, whether it's equipment or whether it's certain things? So we'd like to know from you, from, as we say, the horse's mouth, what are the challenges that you're facing?
Yes, challenges are there, but first of all, we are ordinary people doing extraordinary job, we can say. So ordinary people, it is not something different. We are from the same world and doing something different, the challenging one. Yes, we are having challenges of high scrappers, are challenges are there, slums are there. Metro is also coming. Elevated metro is not a challenge, but then metro which is coming underground, going 22-meter is a bigger challenge. We are working on that. It is not that only firefighting. We are going to that level. So we have communication problem also. We may have communication problem there, but we are working on that. We are visiting these premises, even coastal road. That is also a challenge. But then we are working on it. We are visiting these places. What are challenge we'll have to face? We are working on that. What additional requirement we may need. So we are working toward that also, including communication also. So we are working on that. But challenges will be there. We cannot run away from that. But the challenges which will be coming, we'll have to face to it. But then only thing is that we have to be prepared for that. That is the thing what is required, and we are trying to prepare. We are preparing towards it.
Thank you. Thank you, Parabji. I'm sure you are fortunate to have such helpful people, that one of them, few of them you see on the panel. And as I had mentioned to you earlier, and once before this also, that Mumbai First is a very reputed think tank in for last 26 years. We have done a lot towards the development of the infrastructure of the Mumbai MMR region, may it be the coastal road or the metro or the Trans Harbour Link, and the security cameras that you see in Mumbai are all thought processes of Mumbai First. And we have a very, very eminent board. And if there is anything that we could do to help and bring people on board like we did today, I think the panelists today that we have on board are exceptional. And I think what we have discussed today is absolutely something that I would urge everybody to go back home and listen to it one more time. It's available on YouTube. We will share the YouTube link. You can go on our Mumbai First website and you will have the link. So with these few words, I would like to summarize this whole discussion that we've had, which talks about bringing in advocacy as one of the ways, advocacy and awareness. The fact that if you're buying a floor on the 65th floor, well, you can boast about having a lovely view, as Mr. Prabhu said, but then you must also internally find out whether you're safe in enjoying that view. So that's something coming out. Training not only of the personnel, but training of every citizen or every gated community people or the building management people to deal with such eventualities. And what is the evacuation plan? What is the plan to mitigate something, and how it is to have regular checks and comply with the efficiency of the equipment that is available. So that's another thing. Implementation of the law is something that we really need to look at, Parabji. We need to look at something that which we, while we have a carrot in hand, we must not be hesitant of using the stick, and if these few such cases are made, it will definitely make people understand the seriousness of the law and it's being followed. What other things came up was, volunteerism, having fire wardens, having, ward type of, as we say, the Agni Rakshaks, as we say, ward-wise, who could help, and that is something that also that came up. The disparity that Deshmukhji talked about, National Building Code and development control regulations, the gaps is something that I think, Mr. Deshmukh, you can help us try and make out something of that into a policy gap paper. And I'm sure Mumbai First would be too happy to take it to the right authorities and have the right authorities hear the whole situation. So we are happy to take it forward once you are ready to, work on it with us. And maybe Prabhuji can also lay a, give us a hand to do it. And after all, we'll take Mr. Parab's inputs also. Pointing a finger, and this comes out very, very often, every time things go wrong in the city, the first thing people do is point a finger at the police or point a finger at our fire brigade people who are doing an excellent job. And it's commendable that in spite of all the criticism, they are the first people who, who are there at the scene and who, risk their lives for all of us. So let's stop pointing the finger and let's stop and let's start introspection of why did this happen. It was not because of the fire brigade. It was not because of the police. It was not because of that. It was because of us. It is we who have to be blamed first for not seeing that our property was compliant for fire risks. So this is something that needs to come out. The idea of, how to deal with the 30 floors and beyond is another thing that has to be, talked about. The evacuation plans, very important, needs to be charted out and kept aware. And every citizen or every resident of the building should be aware of an evacuation plan. Not having it is one thing, but actually being aware of what to do with it is very important. And Prabhuji, you talked about 90 lakh people having no measures to fire safety, and that is something which is again something that we should all think about and work. And ladies and gentlemen, with these few words, and this summarization, I would like to thank this fantastic panel that we have this afternoon, starting with Chandrasekhar ji. Thank you for your contribution, your experience. It was a pleasure to listen to you. Deshmukh Saab, this is not the first time I've heard you, and you've always been very, very helpful, very, very, what I would say, knowledgeable, and you have come out with many ideas by which, if implemented, would make things life easier. My friend Ketan, you have always played a stellar role where journalism is concerned. I value your contribution, and I value the fact that in your own way, you are making a difference to the lives of the citizenship and especially of Mumbai region. So on behalf of Mumbai First, I'd like to thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of you all, of every citizen in Mumbai, I would like to convey my deep gratitude and thanks to Parabji and his team. Parabji, I would like you to please convey in your next meeting to all your staff, pan Mumbai, pan Maharashtra, that we, the citizens of Mumbai, are very thankful. We, we value your contribution. And as you rightly said, ordinary people doing extraordinary things is not something that everybody can do. So on behalf of the citizenship of Mumbai, on behalf of the executive board of Mumbai First, on behalf of myself and every colleague of Mumbai First, I want you to convey to your team with great gratitude that they are doing a great job and we are proud of each one of you. So please mention this and mention it to your families also when you get back home, that we are proud of you and they should be proud of you also, because they are the family of very ordinary people doing extraordinary things, as we say. Ladies and gentlemen who are watching this panel discussion, I'm sure you found value. You found something that you're going to dwell on, think about, and not only do that, maybe I think you're going to take this up with your own societies, your own gated communities, maybe your own employers, and even your building managements. I am sure that this is going to be very helpful to you. Thank you for participating. Without you, this panel discussion wouldn't have had the cherry on the cake, as we would say. I must put on record my grateful thanks to Mumbai Live, who is streaming this live panel discussion. And Mumbai Live and Mumbai First have worked for many years together. And my appreciation to Nishant and Arpit for helping us and being a part of Mumbai First always. So my grateful thanks to you and your team at Mumbai Live who are on the job. And lastly, I must not forget my own team, my own Mumbai First team, led by Ujjwal and Deepak and Shreya and Jennifer and Neha, Patil. All of them have done done a great job by trying to get hold of people and the panelists like you. So once again, thank you for coming to our panel. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your experience. God bless you all, and please be safe. Thank you. And if you can just put on your cameras, we'd like to take one photograph so that we can put it in our bulletin. Just hold on so that we can take a photograph. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.